No, no, y'all, it wasn't supposed to be like this. It wasn't supposed to be like this. Somebody check on Lilia. Y'all got life alert. Do they got life alert on the Witch's Road? Somebody help my sis up. Woo! Somebody help my sister. Somebody help my sister out. Before we get into this week's episode of Agatha All Along, make sure that you go into my Patreon, patreon.com/AvatarAdrian, where you get exclusive content, exclusive videos. You can participate in polls and let me know what y'all want me to talk about. This week's exclusive video on Patreon and also channel memberships is about Dune Prophecy. They just dropped the trailer. I wanted also to give y'all a rundown on the main character that we see that is pictured in this thumbnail here, Valia Harkonnen. So that was fun. Check that video out if you're interested, as well as all of the other exclusives. So yeah, this week's episode was a Lilia episode. We opened the episode with her falling. You know, I'm like, all right, ain't nobody gonna catch my sis. Like, what's going on? All right, so Agatha and Billy are here traveling the road, of course, and Agatha's like, don't pass out trying to read my mind, bro. Like, I see you struggling over there. You straining. Like, you don't give yourself a hemorrhoid, bro. Like, you good, bro? And Billy's like, girl, I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea what you're talking about. And Agatha's like, all right, girl. And Agatha also is like, okay, well, just ask me what you want to know. It's fine. And Billy said, all right, so where's Rio? And then Agatha's like, well, you know what? How about we ask other questions? And I was like, where your ex at, Agatha? Where's she at? Agatha's like, to Billy, she says, don't you want to talk to your mom's best friend? And here's interesting because we finally get some tea as to how Billy feels, you know, about his mom. Because everyone was dragging him, right, for wanting his brother back, trying to get his brother back instead of his mom. Like, and by everyone, I mean everyone on social media. They're like, girl, you better go get Scarlet Witch back. But Billy ends up saying, she's not my mom. Like, I have a mom. I already have a mom. And I'm like, okay, I want to see where that goes. Billy said, is Wanda Maximoff really dead? And in my head, I'm just like, girl, why do you care if she's dead or not? If you're like, oh, well, she's not my mom, I don't care. Like, I have a mom already. Obviously, you do care. Agatha said, yes, she is dead. But then she smiled and then said, no, well, actually, maybe. And literally, this, I feel like, is the answer that Marvel gives us every time we ask if Scarlet Witch is dead or not. And I mean, although we know that she is either alive or going to be brought back alive. Like, come on now, girl. They trying to make a check off of Elizabeth Olsen. Like, let's be real. Let's be real, girl. I love this next line. Honestly, the writing here, the quips, the jokes here are so much funnier than, oh my gosh, Thor, Love and Thunder, Deadpool type stuff. Like, y'all really tried to convince us that this straight bro comedy is funny, and it's not, because like one line of Agatha All Along is funnier than the entirety of Thor, Love and Thunder, like 100% for real. Because Agatha said, hey, if you to Billy, she said, hey, if you want straight answers, ask a straight lady. I cackled. I'm sorry, I cackled just like that. I don't want to go back in the closet line that Joe Locke improvised. I am cackling. All right, so they finally get to the trial, and it's an evil castle-looking Airbnb this time. Billy doubts that Agatha has even been on the road at all before, and Agatha's reaction, if, you know, nothing Billy was saying was true, Agatha's reaction, I feel like, would be different. Like, but she was looking like he clocked her tea real bad. And I wonder what's beneath that, like what's under that. Maybe it has something to do with Rio. Like, what's going on? So they get inside, right? And this is part of what we'd seen from the previews, right? Billy is suddenly dressed up as Maleficent, and it is so funny. He looks so good. He looks so good, like face beating, everything. And then Agatha, of course, is the Wicked Witch talking about some, you know, she was based on me, right? And I'm like, girl, I bet she was with your evil self, Agatha. Like, you acting like we supposed to be gagging, like it's a compliment. Like, oh yeah, oh my gosh, like it's so amazing that the Wicked Witch was based. Girl, I don't care. Like, of course you're evil. Like, somebody named a Wicked Witch, and you was like, oh my goodness, did you know that was based off me? Well, I would have guessed. I would have guessed with your 900-year-old stuff. Like, Agatha, sit down. Like, she really thought we were supposed to be gagging. This part right here was funny because Agatha says to Billy, well, you seem very happy with your look. And Billy's like, well, if the cheekbones fit. I'm like, I know that's right. Oh yeah, I know that's right. I'm a part of the Limp Wrist Committee, the Limp Wrist Brigade. And we know when something slays, right? He looked good. So Billy reads what's on this table thing here. Your path winds out of time. And so they sit down to try and read each other's cards. I mean, Billy puts the card down, like a sword falls. Like, it's bad. They look up, and it's an entire industrial kitchen's worth of knives up their swords, ready to fall down and lobotomize them. And to me, I'm just like, if I'm on the Witch's Road and I gotta go into these like Airbnbs for these trials and stuff, like, I'm going to look at every single crevice and corner of where I'm at, girl. Ain't no way I'm walking into some witchy room on the Witchy Road and I'm not looking up. I'm so sorry. Entire swords and knives ready to fall down on y'all. I'm so sorry. Agatha does not like that this trial involves these cards, these tarot cards. She thinks it's a con. Billy, though, thinks it's about intuition and knowing which card to pull and interpretation. So Agatha's just dropping random cards because she's like, girl, this is a scam. It's a con. Like, let's just do this and get out of here. One sword eventually falls where Billy was just sitting, and they start arguing again. But the swords all start lowering at once, and Billy's like, okay, well, we need Lilia. At this point, we need Lilia. I'm just like, girl, you buried her. You're the one who used your magic and got her out, planted her like she was a sunflower seed or something. Like, so anyway, then we switch perspectives, right? Because now we're with Lilia, and Lilia is talking about some, oh my gosh, I was falling. And Jen looks at her like, girl, duh, look at where we're at. So yeah, it seems like our guesses were right? Like, it seems like they are they are definitely under the Witch's Road. Lilia's like, I don't know where we are. Jen's like, girl, you told us that we had to follow this nasty tunnel and look for shelving, even though I don't even know what that means. And by the way, the son of the Scarlet Witch is the one who kicked us off the road. And Lilia's like, oh my gosh, what? Oh my gosh, Billy's the son of the Scarlet Witch. Like, she's gagging, right? Like, even though she's the one who told Jen, like, honey, if you did not put that sigil on him, it might have been easier to find out and, you know, retain this information. But I thought it was so funny, like, that she was the one, like, gagging so hard when she was the one who put the sigil on him, right? So now we have some flashes through time. Lilia is, and so that to me, obviously it showed how the little moments, the kooky, as they call them, the kooky moments that Lilia had, or has been having this entire time in the show, is a result of all the time warpy stuff that she can do. So she's being asked by this older witch, right? Lilia, what do you see? Then the witch says, oh, wait, you're visiting. And Lilia's suddenly older now, right? And she's like, oh, it's been centuries. And Lilia's like, okay, so what are we doing right now? Like, I know I'm just, you know, visiting, I'm just popping in, but what are we doing right now? She's like, well, we're having a lesson, your first lesson. And Lilia almost scoffs. She's like, oh my gosh. And the witch asks Lilia again, like, what do you see? And then she's back with Jen. She says, the flow of time is an illusion. Most people don't realize it. When I was a child, I experienced my life out of sequence. I would get these flashes, these gaps. Now it's happening again, and it's getting worse. Jen says, well, that sounds terrifying, which, yeah, like, what a traumatic thing to have to be dealing with, like waking up and not knowing, you know, girl, am I going to be 2 years old or 80? You know what I mean? So yeah, Jen comments on how terrifying that is. And Lilia thinks that it's getting worse because she's close to the end. Now, Jen thinks that Lilia's talking about, okay, the road, you're getting close to the end of the road and getting your powers back. But at this time, I was wondering if Lilia was talking about the end of her life. And clearly, I mean, she was, I think, that she was close, obviously, to, or she thinks that she's trying to get her power back. But in the end, obviously, what she'd seen was her death. Like, her falling was her death. So we switch again, and Lilia wakes up with Agatha trying to protect her. And Lilia was like, girl, get off. And then she sees Billy and immediately says, we're not cool, teenager. And then Jen was like, oh my gosh, she used his full name. I was like, Then Billy responds, oh my gosh. Then Billy responds to Lilia. Oh my gosh. Billy responds to Lilia pressing him. And he's like, oh my gosh, it was just an accident. If I knew how to use my powers, I would have used them to save Alice. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, what you mean it was an accident? After you dragged Agatha, like, after you got Agatha together, you didn't have to put Jen and Lilia down there? Like, it was how much of an accident was it, girly? Because you were just like, it wasn't like an immediate outburst, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm done. I mean, I'm going to defend you just like I defended Wanda. Like, she said it was an accident that she, you know, got all them girls together at Westview, and I'm going to be her most fervent defender. I will defend you, girl. Like, so that's what I'm saying, Billy. Like, even if it wasn't an accident, it's okay to say it. It's all right, because I'm going to defend you like I defended your mama. I'm going to stick beside her. I'm going to bend the knee. And so while Billy was talking, I was like, you know, why are you responding to multiple questions and Lilia ain't said anything? I was like, oh, he's reading her mind. And he said, it's because your mind is loud right now. No offense. This is the moment that Lilia remembers him from the bar mitzvah. So Lilia talks about doing a reading for Billy, you know, kind of like she had done for him at the bar mitzvah. But now she's thinking about what went wrong. She told him, the reason why I put the sigil on you is because I saw what was going to happen to you that night. I saw who you were and who you would become, and I knew that you would need some time. Okay, so more swords fall, and Jen was like, we didn't even put any cards down. Billy's like, no cards are probably just as bad as the wrong ones, which, yeah, like, because they want you to complete this trial. Lilia asks herself again what she did wrong, and she again falls through time. By the older witch, she's asked, how is your life? Do you know your craft well? Do you have a coven? Every witch needs a coven. And Lilia was like, well, it didn't work out so well for me last time. So, like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's better to be a hermit, to be a fraud. Lilia just wants to know how to control what is happening to her. Then Miss Old Lady says, your task is not to control, but to see. And see, those are the worst kind of powers to me, right? At this point, just take it back. Like, not only can I not control the fact that I am falling through centuries and centuries of time, but I'm not even able to control how it happens when it happens. Just take it back. Just take it back. So we fall back through time, and Lilia finds Wiccan's spell book. They find the shelving as well, which was a bookcase that eventually let them into the trial that Billy and them were at already. Now, this is before Lilia came back at Billy, obviously before she pressed him when she first saw him. She says, hey, we're cool. Lilia looks at the table and is like, all right, this is really bad. Who massacred this friend? And I love how Agatha and Billy are pointing at each other like, oh, well, it was them. Agatha, you was the one really pushing for the random stuff. At least Billy was trying to make sense of it. So Lilia's pressing the querent, to ask a question, right? And he finally does. He says, am I William or am I Billy? And so Lilia's here explaining the cards and where to place them and where goes what. But like the only thing I really got was that the middle card is Billy's. Girl, let's just play. So he's the magician, apparently. She puts the card down and a sword falls behind her. Agatha's like, girl, I don't mean to question your methods, but girlie. Lilia's like, then don't. So reunion is the next card, a sword fall. Like the sword just keep on falling. She goes back in time then to ask, hey, what am I missing? I didn't want to come back here, but I'm back. She realized she's back to get her power back. But then the older witch says, girl, what do you mean? Where's your power going? You still have it. That's not the reason why you're back. Lilia's like, girl, I am a forgotten woman, blah, 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 blah. And the old woman's like, well, girl, just remember yourself then. Lilia's like, girl, what's worth remembering? Why would I want to remember all that death and destruction, all that stuff? Even when I warn people what's about to happen, it doesn't change anything at all. So the old woman then says, death comes for us all. And Lilia's like, is that supposed to be comforting or something? And then the old woman's like, well, it's what we all have in common. That's true. I mean, but it still don't make me feel any better, you know? Like death, we all die someday. Like, yeah, bro, like it sucks. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not gonna pretend like I'm enjoying it. But either way, she was like, that's what we all have in common, and that's it. So Lilia's like, well, wait, when will death come for me? Wait. I was falling. I will fall. Essentially saying like, well, death is coming for me, and it's coming for me soon. And the old lady's like, well, yeah, sorry to say this to you, honey. Like, we don't have a king or horses or men here. So they are definitely not going to put you back together when you fall like Humpty Dumpty. Like, that's just it. So yeah, after the lady asks her, what are you going to do with the rest of your time? We go back with Jen. Go back when we're with Jen and they just got plunged below the road by Billy. So this is where Lilia tells Jen that Billy is the son of the Scarlet Witch and he kicked us off the road telepathically. She's like, the gaps when it comes to her powers and the time travel and her memories, like the gaps are filling in, but I'm telling you now because a few minutes from now, I'm not going to remember any of this. Like I said earlier, I really like that we got this backstory on Lilia and why she has these like, you know, delirious moments. It just ties into her powers so well, I think. There are a few important things we see below the road. First of all, we see a way out, which in the end they decided not to take. We also see that the Salem 7 are underneath the road looking for them, right? So Lilia's like, please join me. She's saying this to Jen. She's like, please join me to go and find Agatha and Billy because you are my sister in the craft. I was like, oh, this is such a cute moment. I really loved it, especially given what happens at the end of this episode. Then Lilia realizes what she did wrong when we switched back. And I thought this moment was very fun. I was like, how are they going to end this episode? What's going to be the gag? I thought this was fun. She was reading for the wrong person. She should have been reading for herself. And it makes a lot of sense because like this whole entire episode has been about Lilia in the first place. And so them thinking like, oh, well, maybe I have to read for Billy. Maybe I have to read for Agatha or something. No, like this whole entire trial was meant for Lilia in the first place. So she was like, I have to read for myself because her path winds out of time. She is the traveler. She is the Queen of Cups. Yes, get into it. I don't care if she the Queen of Cups, bowls, forks, knives, spoons, utensils in general. She said, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to read these cards how they supposed to be read. So she's placing the card down. She's placing the traveler card down, right? And no sword falls. But the ceiling hasn't stopped lowering. She keeps going. Basically, everyone, I'm not going to go through everything, but like basically everyone in the coven is represented by a card. And then we switch back because we go back to when Jen and Lilia first fell. I thought that there was one of the Salem 7 right on them when Lilia woke up. But it happened to be Rio. Rio is Death. Rio is Lady Death. And she said in the end, all roads lead to me. And that's true because just like the old witch said, death is something we all have in common. Rio is Death. Agatha slams the death card down and the ceiling stops falling and ends up reversing. Now, look at where the death card is, obviously on top of Lilia's card, confirming that she is going to fall. She's going to die. The way out has been unlocked. It opens up. And then they can feel that the 7 are about to show up. The Salem 7 are about to show up. Lilia says to Agatha, like she's getting them all out of there. When she calls you a coward, hit the deck. So maybe she's going to be talking, maybe Agatha's going to be talking to Rio and she calls her a coward or something. Talking to somebody. But Lilia saying, whenever you hear coward, just duck. And honestly, I would have my ears perked up as soon as I left Lilia's presence. Even if I hear someone whisper the word coward, I am hitting the deck. I am ducking. She then gives Wiccan back his spell book. I thought this was a really cute, fun, emotional way for Wiccan to get his spell book back. And then also this emotional moment between Jen and Lilia, because Jen is just like, Lilia, just come with me, come with us, let's go. You first. Lilia's like, actually, I love being a witch. And like, oh my gosh, I was like, oh, she's gonna die. and obviously Jen's like, no, like Jen's like, what are you talking about? You love being a witch, girl. So I'm like, okay, what's gonna happen? What trick is Lilia gonna pull, bro? Like, what's gonna happen? Yo. So after she closes the pathway, a rat shows up and it's just like, okay, well, that means the Salem 7 are here. And she starts getting into her monologue bag, honey. Like Lilia gets into it. She's like, you may not know this about the road. When you successfully complete a trial like I just did, it's not a good idea to overstay your welcome. Usually something terrible happens. Disaster, destruction, sudden upheaval, like the tower upright. And she flips that card, honey. She flipped that card and then she flipped their wigs. She flipped that card and turned gravity off, honey. She flipped that card and flipped their hairline. She flipped that card and flipped their destinies. Do you hear what I'm saying? Because as soon as she turned gravity off, they start falling on them swords. Salem 7 start falling on them swords, dropping on them swords, dropping like flies. And I'm just like, all right, good sus, you hanging on to this thing, it's not gonna last too much longer. Like, and I was like, oh, this is when the fall, I get it. So stupid. But yeah, I would just like to say justice for Lilia. She ain't deserve all that. She might have been a little, dizzy sometimes, but that's just because she was literally experiencing her entire life out of sequence, out of order. Let's have some grace for Miss Lilia. Justice for Lilia! Wake her up. Matter of fact, y'all got a lot of people to wake up. Y'all need to wake up Alice. Y'all need to wake up Lilia. Y'all need to wake up Sharon. Y'all need to wake up Miss Mama herself, the Scarlet Witch. What I want y'all to do is set some alarms and do not contact me unless those alarms have woken up all of our good sisters who done passed. Y'all making me mad. Wake them up! On that note, thank y'all so much for watching. Make sure, like I said, you check out my Patreon at patreon.com/AvatarAdrian if you want some exclusive content and polls and behind the scenes stuff. I will check y'all out later. Peace. All right, y'all, make sure that you're going to www.zeraxia.com. When you join the wait list there on the site, you will be the first to be notified when I drop my sequel. Also, you'll immediately get chapter 1 of my upcoming sequel of the upcoming book sent to your email as a PDF. So check that out. Also, this is a different excerpt from my upcoming book, so you definitely want to pause to read if you're trying to get your life. Keep in mind that this upcoming book, this sequel, is following up the first book that is already released called Zoraxia, Wrath of the God King. I released it a few years ago. It was my introduction to writing fantasy and stuff. So just go easy on me. But either way, as you can see here, it's given 4.9 stars. It's given 4.9 stars. So yeah, check out Zoraxia, Wrath of the God King while you wait for Zoraxia, The Vengeance of Coldwind, right? And go to Zoraxia.com, sign up, join the waitlist, get your free chapter. Thank you so much.